So last night I was watching the game, which I was thoroughly enjoying, by the way, given how the Bulls were playing, which I'll get into in a little bit. But then with about 6 minutes left to go, the Bulls were up by around 12, I believe. My stream, which is on League Pass, just starts buffering, and it keeps buffering. And then I realize our Wi-Fi is out. Now, as annoyed as I was, usually think it's just out temporarily for a minute or two and then it comes back on, but no, my Wi-Fi was out for an entire hour, which shut down the live game chat, so apologies to all those who were chatting live. Hopefully we don't run into that issue again. Now, rather than just following the score with data, I really wanted to finish out this game because, as we all know, as Bulls fans, we're never really safe, even with a decent lead with 6 minutes left to go in the game. So I avoided looking at any social media or looking up the score and finished out the game when my Wi-Fi finally returned. Thanks a lot, Comcast. And thank God the Bulls were able to close this one out. So what's going on, everyone? You were listening to Bulls Central here. Hope you're all doing well. Guys, normally I would have come out with a post-game video shortly after the game, but for reasons as just explained, and because the game had a later start than usual, I held off and thought I would put it out this morning despite being very hyped to make the video last night. So I officially don't know what Bulls team we're going to get on any given night. I really don't know, because on one hand you have a team that can shoot lights out, move the ball well, play like a team, and even sometimes play decent defense and just looking like a playoff team. And then other nights, they look like one of the worst teams in the league, looking completely lost and disorganized on the court. Of course, last night, we got the former, and that the Bulls were on an absolute tear, where they set a franchise record of 25 three-pointers made in the game. 25 threes. They shot 53% from three last night. That's incredible. Coming off having some terrible shooting nights from deep in the past 3 games, the Bulls bounced back and had one of their best shooting nights, if not the best we've seen so far this season. Now, what's even more shocking about that is one of the Bulls' best three-point shooters wasn't even playing in Lauri Markkanen. Coby White and Zach Lavine set a record as the first teammates in NBA history to each have 8 threes in a game. They combined for 16 for 26. Just amazing. The game was also a little strange because the Bulls started off the game really strong. They came out fighting and they were hitting shots right away, left and right in the first quarter. And it's exactly the kind of thing I like seeing, and seeing them get off to a strong start, because there have been so many occasions this season where the Bulls have started off sluggish, found themselves in a large deficit, and despite making some runs at the end of the game, they came up short because it was just a little too late by that point. So the Bulls had an incredible first quarter, putting up 44 points. Then despite still shooting well, they somehow managed to fall behind and really fell apart on defense in the second quarter. They lose that quarter 40-22. Then the Bulls come out incredibly strong to start the second half and completely take over and outscore the Pelicans 40-14. They almost held them to single digits in that quarter. The Pelicans made a few buckets in the last minute and a half in the third, which allowed them to get 14 points. We were even talking about it in the chat, whether or not we were actually going to hold the Pelicans to single digits in a quarter. Now, the Bulls never really looked back after having such a dominant third quarter and never gave the lead back up, but the Pelicans did make a few runs, and I'll be honest, I wasn't comfortable until the very end on this one. The Bulls didn't start out the fourth quarter that strong, and even then, in the last 5 minutes, they did have some careless turnovers and some poor shots, but the upside was the Pelicans couldn't score on their end either. The Bulls were able to get some strong key defensive stops and end up winning this game. And I have to say, this was a very impressive win, because after coming off a very bad loss to the Wizards on Monday, who were without Westbrook, and also they're one of the worst teams in the league, to then respond against a Pelicans team that was coming off a 4-game win streak, fully healthy, while the Bulls were without their starting backcourt. I'll be honest, I thought Zion and Steven Adams were going to bully the Bulls in the paint and take advantage of those mismatches down low, which they did here and there, but the Bulls really held their own, and obviously helped the fact that Zach and Coby were shooting like the Splash Brothers out there. So despite the fact that Zion had a great game, there was really nothing that could be done to stop the Bulls' hot shooting outside. The Bulls didn't really need to go inside on this one, which would have been a huge challenge for them if the outside shots weren't falling. Brandon Ingram was also cold from 3 last night and didn't really have that great of a game in general. However, Lonzo Ball had a very good game. He was surely making a case for himself for why the Bulls would potentially want to make a trade for him. Again, I'm not a Lonzo Ball fan, but he had a really great game last night. I'll admit that. For the Bulls, though, I mean, Lavine, 46 points. 17 for 25 from the field, 19 for 14 from 3. He also had 4 assists and 7 rebounds. He had 5 turnovers. Again, he still needs to work on taking care of the ball a bit. But come on, the guy straight up carried this team yet again. Played an elite game, getting his guys involved and taking smart shots. He was plus 20 on the night. And to put that into perspective, Coby White, despite having a great game, was a -2, and him and Lavine played close to the same amount of minutes at 34 and 38 minutes respectively. The other thing that's interesting about Lavine is his career high is 49. It's amazing to me that he's never had a 50-point game. I was really hoping he was going to get it last night, but he fell a little bit short. I'm sure we'll probably see a career high from Lavine in the near future. And then finally, yes, Coby White. He had himself a strong game, a much-needed game to get his confidence back after really struggling the past few weeks. He shot 10 for 20. Most of his shots were actually from 3. He had 17 of those 20 shots were 3-pointers, going 8 for 17 from deep. And he had 7 assists tonight as well, so he was doing okay in terms of facilitating. Still work to do there because he still does get a bit chaotic and out of control when handling the ball sometimes, but nevertheless, it was good to see him not only seeing his shots falling, but actually making plays on offense for others. And even Valentine, he had him having another good night as a starter, 16 points. He also shot 6 for 11. Still has such a weird stroke, and some of those shots sometimes are just so deep and not the best decisions. But hey, if the shots are falling, I'll take them, I guess. And Garrett Temple, even him, he got out of his shooting slump. He had 10 points and shot 4 for 5 last night. And that's a huge boost to his confidence, seeing those shots starting to go in again. He also had 7 assists, which was great to see. All around, guys, this was a great win for the Bulls. They did turn the ball over 16 times, so it is still an issue they need to work on. However, they did have a season high of 35 assists. Again, another reason why ball and player movement are so critical to success, especially under Billy Donovan's system. And of course, when you're shooting lights out like that, there's nothing really that's going to stop you, so that obviously helps. Let's see if the Bulls can keep it going, though. They'll be taking on the Clippers tomorrow night, which will be another tough game, although Paul George has been ruled out, so that will help a little bit. But the Clippers are still a very deep and talented team, and anytime Kawhi Leonard is playing, it's going to be a challenging game. I am looking forward to seeing Patrick Williams and Kawhi go head-to-head again. Until then, though, guys, as always, thanks again for tuning in, and don't forget to subscribe if you enjoyed Daily Bulls content, and also hit the bell notifications, as you never know when I might throw out another giveaway, so make sure you're watching. Thanks again, guys, and I will catch you in the next one.